Hello there, hope you're well. I'm doing a review today, a full house clean review using this machine, the Hoover H500 Upright 500 Plus. I'll just talk you through some of the basic specs before we get into it in use. So we'll start at the back. There is a 10-meter power cord, which is a good length, although I will be using an extra 10-meter extension so I can get around the full house. There's a tube release catch here to release the wand. Bin release at the top here. Easy empty bottom to empty the canister. This unscrews at the top with a locking mechanism here, and inside you've got your filter, which is washable. Here you've got your brush on off and also the auto switch. One particularly good feature about this is the way the brush control works. It changes speed and air pressure depending on the type of floor you're using it on. One of the reasons why I'm doing this in this house is there are 2 pets, a cat and a dog, 2 kids, and multiple different types of flooring. So it's a good workout for the machine. One of the best features about this is the hose, but it's also one of the drawbacks too, and I'll come to that in a minute as we go along. There's a crevice tool with an extendable hose attachment, but what really doesn't make sense on here is the additional brush tool, which is essentially just another crevice tool with a very naff brush at the end. And whilst that does lock into place, the locking mechanism isn't very strong, and as soon as you apply any pressure on that, it just collapses. Also at the back here, you've got an airflow control valve. Let's get it going. Now, did you hear the sound of the vacuum change then? It starts off in a high brush speed, and then when it detects you're on a hard floor, changes to a lower brush speed. I quite like that feature. It does mean that you can use this on a hard floor and not worry about it flicking the bits everywhere, which often on a brush vacuum that does tend to happen. Now, I should say that this is the second of these that I had, and that the first one I had to send back after I'd used it for a week because it just stopped working. This one, so far, if you've seen my other video about changing the belt, this one has already had a belt replacement. I don't actually consider that to be a good sign. I've never had to change a belt on any of the Seabows since I've been using them. That click you can hear is me putting the foot down. It does make a bit of a row. You will constantly hear the vacuum changing speed and suction as I move on to different surfaces. There you go, do you hear it again? Hello, Marley. I'll just quickly show you how that happens on this camera here. There is a sensor here, and it's that detects what type of flooring you're using the machine on and changes the brush speed accordingly. Here's that click again. Another nice feature about this is what my dad affectionately calls the wibbly wobbly head. So what we'll do now is we'll take the machine into this dark space, and I'll leave the lights off in here so that you can see the effectiveness of the LEDs on the front. They're not great, to be honest, because I don't know whether the camera's picking this up, but the light actually starts here because the LEDs are behind the brush roll, so that creates a shadow. It's not bad if you are getting into dark corners and so on, but equally it's not brilliant either. That's better. I'll show you one particularly good feature about this vacuum. If I stop moving it now, the brush stops rolling after a few seconds, which means it won't score the floor underneath it. And then as soon as I start moving it again, the brush starts again. I really like that. That's a great idea. It's a feature all vacuum cleaners should really adopt. Now if you listen out for this, are you ready? It's going to change. One thing I do find with this that I don't particularly like is the head is so light that it sometimes bounces across the carpet. It doesn't feel like it's getting right into the pile. I could be completely wrong on that. It just doesn't feel as though it's doing as deep a job as I want it to do. Now, one feature I do like with a vacuum cleaner is when you can take the hose off, put the brush on and use that to do some dusting. Let me just turn this off while I show you one of the major drawbacks to this machine. The hose system, whilst this is a brilliantly flexible hose, it's not built into the airflow. So you have to detach it, clip it in, take your brush off and then go. And the ergonomics of this is a bit naff too, because in order to actually get that brush flat onto a surface, you can see what I'm having to do. It's a very badly designed tool. And with it being crevice shaped, it doesn't cover a lot of space. It just doesn't cover much ground at all. However, whilst I think that is a bit naff, this, for doing high level cobwebs, is really quite good. And now, in order to do the stairs, I have to put the hose attachment back on. It's just not particularly efficient. What I will show you, which is a nice feature of this machine, is whilst this machine's quite light and easy to carry up the stairs, this hose will reach all the way to the top. And it does make some very interesting whistling sounds when it gets to its maximum length. Last step. But as I say, it's just not very ergonomically designed. And then, when you're finished, take the hose off, fit it back on the machine. You get the idea, right? whilst this head does get under some high furniture quite well, the whole vacuum itself is useless for going under things like beds, because this is as far down as you can go, and then the head starts to lift, so you can't get the machine, there's no clearance to get the machine under a bed. And one of the other drawbacks here is if I wanted to dust off this windowsill, I'd have to take all the hose system off again. I couldn't just pull a pipe out like I can on the Seabow machines and run it across, shove a brush on and run it across. You could argue that you could do all that in one go at the end of the clean, but then you're just adding time to what you're doing. So either way, that's not good. I broke up a few bits of toilet paper here. Let's see how it picks those up. Does it just push them along, or does it pick them up? Not doing so bad, is it? That cat, definitely disturbed by my vacuuming. One of the plus sides to this vacuum being light is it is nimble and it does get into corners and edges quite well. Just realised I've moved the camera. Before showing you, we were having to do this again. Sounded nice, didn't it? I'm sure you've got the idea by now about just how frustrating that is. This room isn't heavily used, so I'm just going to give it a quick whiz over. Because that aspect of changing the hose over is so faffy, what you haven't seen me do is get the hose out to do any of the skirting boards. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap this video up here, because the rest of this is just carpet and there's not much else to say about it. What do you think about this machine? For me, it's not one I'd personally recommend. It's not hideous, but the strengths of it are far outweighed by the weaknesses for me. The faffy hose changing procedure just means this one is a lot more long-winded in practice. And you obviously have to bend or squat to actually access those things too. Is it good for somebody with a bad back? I think for general household use, this machine is probably okay. For me, on a more commercial setting, it's not worth bothering with. But what do you think? Have you got one of these? If you have, what do you like about it? What do you dislike about it? Let me know in the comments. Thanks so much for watching. I hope this has been useful. If you've liked it, please give it a thumbs up. If you don't like it, give it a thumbs down. It's up to you. And if you subscribe to the channel, then whenever you open up YouTube, it'll let you know, you'll get a little notification just to say that I've uploaded another video. Thank you so much.